Taking a chance begins with the willingness to embrace vulnerability, which is often misunderstood as weakness, but in truth, it is one of the greatest demonstrations of courage we can offer ourselves and the world. When we step into uncertainty, when we lean into situations where outcomes are unknown and the possibility of failure looms, we are not exposing ourselves to weakness, we are choosing to engage fully with life. Every moment we consider taking a risk, whether it is pursuing a dream, speaking our truth, or making a change that feels daunting, we are confronted with a choice to shrink back into the safety of what we know, or to step forward with open hands and a willing heart. Vulnerability asks us to acknowledge that we do not have all the answers, that control is limited, and that discomfort is inevitable, yet within that acknowledgement lies profound power. True courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite fear, to hold our fragility and our strength in the same breath, and to trust that even if the outcome is not what we hoped for, the act of trying enriches our character and expands our capacity to live authentically. It is in these moments of exposure that we discover resilience we didn't know we had, creativity that emerges only when boundaries are tested, and connection that arises when others witness our honesty and bravery. Taking a chance requires that we set aside the illusion of perfection and the need for guarantees, understanding that uncertainty is not a threat but a gateway to growth, learning, and transformation. The very act of risking is an affirmation that our dreams, our values, and our desires matter enough to confront discomfort, rejection, or failure. Each time we allow ourselves to be seen, to step forward into the unknown, and to accept the possibility of loss, we cultivate a depth of courage that informs every other aspect of our lives. Vulnerability is not a momentary choice but a practice, one that strengthens our capacity to act with integrity, pursue passion, and engage with the world in ways that are both bold and authentic. It teaches us that life's most meaningful experiences, whether in work, relationships, or personal growth, often require a leap, and that the act of leaping itself, even without certainty of landing, carries profound significance. To take a chance is to honor the parts of ourselves that long for growth, that crave expression, and that recognize that the measure of our lives is not found in safety or predictability, but in the courage to show up, take risks, and embrace the unknown with an open heart, trusting that our willingness to step into uncertainty is where true strength resides. Fear has a way of pointing us toward the places we most need to go, the experiences that hold the potential to transform us, and the challenges that stretch the boundaries of who we believe we are. Too often, fear is treated as an enemy, something to be avoided, numbed, or ignored, yet it is precisely in those moments of discomfort that our greatest growth lies. The things we are most afraid of, speaking our truth, pursuing a risky opportunity, stepping into the unknown, are often the very doors to courage, creativity, and self-discovery. When we pause to listen to fear rather than dismiss it, it becomes a compass rather than a chain, a signal that we are approaching a threshold of possibility. Fear does not exist to paralyze us. It exists to illuminate where our values, desires, and potential converge. It draws our attention to the edges of our comfort zones and invites us to lean in rather than retreat. Recognizing fear as guidance requires a shift in perspective, a willingness to reframe the sensations of anxiety, doubt, or uncertainty as markers of meaningful engagement rather than proof of incapacity. In doing so, hesitation is transformed into action, and the very emotion that once held us back becomes a powerful ally in navigating life's complexities. Taking fear seriously, but not literally, means acknowledging its presence, understanding the underlying message it carries, and moving forward despite it. It means trusting that the discomfort we feel is often proportional to the significance of the opportunity before us, and that growth rarely occurs in safe, familiar spaces. Every time we follow the thread of fear, we learn something new about our resilience, our creativity, and our capacity to endure uncertainty. Fear teaches us to pay attention, to prepare, to refine our judgment, and to act with intention, rather than simply reacting to circumstance or shrinking from challenge. It is a teacher of presence, of courage, and of authenticity, revealing where we are hiding from ourselves and where we have the chance to expand. By honoring fear as a compass, we cultivate a life that is guided not solely by comfort or certainty, but by alignment with what matters most to us. We begin to see that the trembling in our chest is not a warning to stop, but an invitation to engage, to step forward into the very spaces that will deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world. Fear, when recognized and embraced in this way, becomes not a signal of weakness, but a signpost of opportunity, directing us toward experiences that stretch, teach, and ultimately transform us. In learning to navigate fear with curiosity and courage, hesitation gives way to deliberate action, and every step taken in the face of fear becomes a declaration that we are willing to live fully, to grow expansively, and to honor the callings that matter most to our hearts. Failure is not the opposite of success, nor is it a measure of our value or capability. Rather, it is one of life's most potent teachers, offering lessons that success alone rarely provides. Every time we take a risk, every time we step into uncertainty, there is a possibility that things will not turn out as we hoped, that plans will unravel, or that our efforts will fall short. Yet within those moments of disappointment lies an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Failure exposes the gaps in our knowledge, the limitations of our assumptions, and the areas where courage and persistence are required, and in doing so, it reshapes our path forward in ways that success cannot. It challenges us to reflect, to ask difficult questions, and to confront the ways in which fear, pride, or avoidance may have influenced our choices. The discomfort of failure is not meant to break us, but to clarify what truly matters, to illuminate the steps we might take differently next time, and to strengthen our resilience. Those who embrace failure as a teacher recognize that each misstep carries valuable insight, patterns that need adjustment, strategies that require refinement, or perspectives that demand expansion. Rather than seeing failure as an endpoint, it becomes a guidepost pointing toward the skills, mindset, and humility necessary to navigate future challenges. The most meaningful accomplishments are often built on a foundation of repeated failures, each one informing the next attempt, shaping a more nuanced, intentional, and courageous approach. Accepting failure requires letting go of the need for constant approval, perfection, or immediate results, and instead leaning into curiosity, reflection, and experimentation. It asks us to separate our self-worth from the outcome of our efforts, recognizing that trying and failing is evidence of engagement, not inadequacy. In this way, failure becomes a transformative experience, a force that pushes us to innovate, to adapt, and to persevere when the easy path would be to quit. It encourages us to take ownership of our journey, to celebrate the courage inherent in every attempt, and to trust that the lessons we glean will serve as a compass for the road ahead. When failure is embraced rather than feared, it reveals its power not in the pain it may cause in the moment, but in the wisdom it imparts over time. It teaches patience, persistence, and perspective, reminding us that growth is rarely linear, that setbacks are temporary, and that the pursuit of meaning, purpose, and authentic achievement requires engaging fully with both success and failure. Every failure carries within it the seeds of progress, and those who learn to listen attentively, reflect honestly, and act courageously in response are the ones who transform obstacles into opportunities, who allow mistakes to shape mastery, and who ultimately build lives defined not by the absence of failure, but by the depth of understanding and strength cultivated through it. True growth rarely occurs within the boundaries of comfort, and transformation is seldom born from the safety of routine. It emerges when we summon the courage to step beyond the familiar and embrace the unknown. Comfort can lull us into a false sense of security, convincing us that staying within predictable patterns is sufficient for a meaningful life. Yet it is precisely when we challenge those patterns, when we venture into uncharted territory, that we discover our capacity to adapt, learn, and evolve. Moving beyond comfort requires us to confront uncertainty, to face the fear of failure, judgment, or inadequacy, and to persist even when the path ahead feels unclear. Every opportunity to stretch ourselves, whether by pursuing a new skill, engaging in a difficult conversation, or exploring a different direction in life, carries with it the potential to reveal strengths and insights that would remain hidden if we stayed safely within our habitual routines. Growth demands that we risk discomfort because it is in those moments that we encounter the friction necessary for change, the tension that reshapes habits, mindset, and understanding. When we dare to explore new possibilities, we also invite creativity, curiosity, and innovation into our lives, allowing us to see problems from fresh perspectives and to approach challenges with a resilience that only experience beyond comfort can provide. Transformation is not instantaneous. It is a process of repeated effort, reflection, and adjustment, each step outside familiar territory reinforcing our capacity to endure uncertainty and to expand our potential. By intentionally leaning into discomfort, we cultivate confidence not merely in our abilities but in our willingness to engage fully with life, knowing that real progress is measured not by ease but by the courage to act despite unease. Comfort may shield us from risk, but it also limits our vision and constrains our possibilities, while venturing beyond it invites richness, depth, and authenticity into our experience. The act of stepping into new experiences teaches us humility, patience, and adaptability, and it allows us to redefine what is possible in our lives. Each challenge faced, each unfamiliar situation navigated, becomes evidence of our evolving resilience, reinforcing that transformation is less about achieving a specific outcome and more about cultivating the capacity to grow continuously. Growth lives in the willingness to try, to stumble, and to rise again, in the recognition that comfort may feel safe, but it cannot foster the profound development that comes from embracing the unknown. By daring to leave the familiar behind, we not only expand our skills and knowledge, but we also deepen our understanding of ourselves, uncovering passions, strengths, and insights that only emerge when we confront uncertainty and explore life with an open, courageous heart. In this way, every step outside comfort becomes a declaration that we are committed to evolving, to learning, and to living in alignment with the fullest expression of our potential. There are moments in life when logic, reason, and careful planning cannot fully capture the path that is right for us, and it is in these moments that trusting our intuition becomes essential. Intuition is not a mystical force separate from our mind or body. It is the quiet, persistent voice shaped by our experiences, our values, and the accumulated knowledge of who we are and what we need. Listening to that inner guidance requires slowing down, creating space to hear what our instincts are telling us, and having the courage to act on it even when it defies conventional wisdom or external expectations. Intuition often speaks in subtle ways, through a feeling in the pit of our stomach, a sense of ease or tension, or an unshakable knowing that one choice feels aligned while another does not. And recognizing these signals demands attention, trust, and practice. Acting on intuition is a form of bravery because it asks us to step into uncertainty without guarantees, to rely on the wisdom we carry within rather than the assurances we seek outside ourselves. When we follow our instincts, we are engaging fully with our authenticity, making choices that resonate with our values and our deeper sense of purpose, rather than simply conforming to what seems safe, popular, or logical. Trusting intuition does not mean abandoning discernment or ignoring evidence. It means integrating insight, experience, and feeling to make decisions that reflect the whole of who we are. There is a profound power in honoring this internal compass because it allows us to navigate life with confidence, even in situations where the outcomes are uncertain and the stakes are high. Each time we act on intuition, we reinforce our capacity to listen to ourselves, to weigh subtle guidance alongside rational thought, and to move decisively in directions that foster growth, opportunity, and fulfillment. Ignoring intuition, on the other hand, often leads to regret, hesitation, or the quiet dissatisfaction of knowing that we did not follow the path that felt true. Taking chances requires more than boldness. It requires alignment with our inner knowing, the ability to discern what resonates deeply, and the courage to trust that our instincts are leading us toward experiences that will shape us in meaningful ways. By embracing intuition, we cultivate a relationship with ourselves that values honesty, self-awareness, and trust, allowing us to act with clarity and confidence even when external circumstances are confusing or ambiguous. It teaches us to honor our own voice above the noise of doubt, comparison, or conventional expectation, and to recognize that the wisdom we carry inside is uniquely equipped to guide us through uncertainty. Following intuition becomes a practice of courage and self-trust, a commitment to engage with life from a place of authenticity, and a recognition that the path forward is often revealed not through calculation alone, but through the integration of feeling, insight, and action. In trusting ourselves and our instincts, we embrace the possibility of growth, transformation, and fulfillment, understanding that the most meaningful choices often require listening to the quiet, unwavering guidance within and having the courage to follow it. Every choice we make, every risk we take, and every step we decide to embrace or avoid contributes to the story of our lives, shaping the narrative that will define who we are and how we are remembered. Owning your story means acknowledging that you are the author of your life, and that the plot is not written by circumstance, other people's expectations, or the fear that often whispers in our ears. It is written by the courage, intention, and choices that you bring to each moment. Taking a chance is one of the most powerful ways to assert ownership of your narrative, because it is in the act of stepping into uncertainty, of following your instincts, and of pursuing what truly matters to you, that you move from passive observer to active participant in your own life. When you dare to take risks, you allow yourself to explore possibilities that would otherwise remain out of reach, creating experiences, lessons, and achievements that are uniquely yours. Owning your story also requires embracing responsibility for both successes and failures, recognizing that each outcome, whether celebrated or challenging, contributes to your growth, resilience, and wisdom. It asks us to confront the temptation to compare ourselves to others, to resist allowing external standards to dictate our choices, and to trust that living authentically means honoring our values, desires, and dreams even when the path is uncertain or unconventional. By taking chances, we claim agency over our narrative, refusing to be defined solely by circumstances, setbacks, or the expectations of those around us. Each decision to act courageously, to step beyond fear, and to pursue what feels meaningful is a declaration that we are committed to living in alignment with who we truly are. Owning your story means accepting that vulnerability, mistakes, and risk are all integral parts of an authentic life, and that the richness of your narrative comes not from perfection or certainty, but from the willingness to engage fully, to experiment, and to grow through experience. Every challenge faced, Every bold move made and every leap into the unknown becomes a chapter that strengthens your sense of self, teaches new lessons, and adds depth and texture to your life's journey. In doing so, you cultivate not only personal empowerment, but also the capacity to inspire others by modeling courage, integrity, and authenticity. Taking a chance is more than just an isolated act. It is an ongoing commitment to shape your life intentionally, to write a story that reflects your unique values, passions, and vision, and to leave a legacy that is unmistakably your own. In owning your story, you embrace the freedom and responsibility to define what matters, to pursue what fulfills you, and to live a life that is unapologetically yours, understanding that each choice you make, especially the ones that require courage and risk, is an act of authorship that transforms both your present and your future, creating a narrative rich with meaning, purpose, and authenticity.